Hello everybody, this is episode 9 of my playthrough of the Lies of P DLC Overture. In the last episode, we defeated Lumacchio, leader of the Bastards, and then we went back to tie in some of the exploration around the level that we hadn't really completed, but we're gonna continue from the shipwreck interior, the Stargazer, right after Lumacchio's fight, and go from there. In the previous episode, we came to this new shipwreck area full of boats, full of ice and alchemists, and we don't really know exactly what happened here, but I believe in this episode we're gonna be seeing a little more on that and get to the bottom of why all these ships are wrecked. We're in the rooms that follow that initial Stargazer. I think that this will be the second to last episode of the playthrough. I'm gonna leave it all the way today to the Rose Estate. Not really the Rose Estate, but you know, the final thing before the Rose Estate. And then in the next episode we'll do the Rose Estate and the ending of the game. There is not any more bosses besides the final boss. I mean, there is a mini boss, but I don't feel like that counts. So it's gonna be a little harder to structure it from our usual. So yeah, there will be today's episode and tomorrow's episode, and that'll be it. Maybe some clips, maybe a compilation of bosses or something like that would be fun, but other than that, that'll be it. Here at the top of the shipwreck, we have a grindstone coating capsule, a miraculous enhancement ampoule, and a madman's journal. And the madman's journal says, I have learned the devil's method. The subject's body must be fresh, minimal post-mortem time. The container must have a close resemblance to the subject. Appearance is key. The essence acquired from the subject must have been produced before death. If this is true, only one element is missing, and it requires a desecration I can't begin to imagine, but must. Am I cursed? Is this retribution for letting myself be blinded by grief and working with these alchemist devils? But without the pain, I'd have no reason to go on. Send me back to my child. Alas, I cannot, but I still can get the child back myself. If so, that's the only course I can take. I will have no choice but to make this my singular purpose. I believe that this is Geppetto talking. I mean, I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, I would say that's him, and that he's feeling remorse for working with the alchemist, but that he has found out how to make Carlo, how to finish Carlo, and he's saying that he has to desecrate Carlo's body in order to make P. When he says send me back to my child, is quoting the maid puppet, what the maid puppet said, right? And that would be Carlo's mother. That's what I'm guessing that this is about. Someone who knows a bit more might make a comment underneath and tell me about it, right? I wonder why this journal is precisely here. I wonder if Geppetto is nearby, or maybe if he was at some point looking for something here. It's also called the Madman's Journal, so it's a little insight as to what his mental state might be at that point. I'm gonna move forward with the playthrough and think a little bit more about it, since I don't know for sure what this means or if it's necessarily him. It gave me the vibe that it would be him. Continuing on, we go to the outside, to a part that is quite annoying. I believe it was supposed to be like running through sort of part, but you know, I'll kill everybody and explore everything, because why not? You have those guys that give you freeze. There's also obviously fish coming from the water, and if things were not bad enough like that, if falling off the sides wasn't bad enough, you also have a cannon throwing fire at you. It's like the entrance to the alchemist style, right? A little bit. Those cannons are there. I feel like the entrance to the alchemist style was a little more annoying. The enemies there were worse. The ice also breaks from time to time, so be careful. I wasn't being very careful right there. I was trying to get through without getting hurt by the cannon, but it was a little dicey. You either get hurt by the cannon or you get hurt by the fish, or both. Luckily, there are some places that you can hide a little bit behind, you know, certain covers. Not right there when I got, but you know, there's certain covers that you can hide on. The path is very straightforward, even though it looks like it divides it. It doesn't really. Lots of enemies though, and it does feel a little bit like a Dark Souls 2 moment, maybe, more than anything else. It's like one of those things where you're fighting in Dark Souls 2 and all of a sudden there's 5 more people you didn't even see that are now on top of you. Everybody's doing freeze, but the cannon is doing fire. Keep it nice and even. Right ahead over here, you'll have a butterfly. One of those that divides in 3. You just have to be very fast and, you know, kill it. Forget about the cannon for a moment and just go kill it. When you do, you get an ancient disc out of that. I've said it every episode, but I'll say it again. Ancient disc, you need 1 for a golden record related to a trophy. After you have bought that golden record, you can spend the rest on whatever you want. You don't need any more. So at this point, you probably should have that golden record already, since we got it a few episodes ago. And you can go ahead and buy upgrades or buy little trinkets from the Klaus shop. He has some interesting stuff there. When you go ahead to this final platform with the 2 soldiers, the cannon cannot really get you there, but the soldiers are gun soldiers, so they can still be quite annoying. So yeah, you're safe right here. And they roll back and they don't fall in the water. Isn't that so silly? Some of the ice melts away, regardless if you walked in it or not. And then at the very end, you get to another boat. Now, if you think the worst has passed, yeah, it hasn't. There is a mini boss right here, one of those boxing guys again. This one with the claws like Wolverine. I was very nervous because I had no heals for this guy, and it didn't feel like I was gonna come out successfully from it. But I got a parry and an inch of life left, and I did my best and it got me a visceral. And once I had the visceral, I was pretty much going to get the greed or or die. But I succeeded. It was good. Spent my last heal right away. And now I'm going back all the way into the boat. There's tons of alchemists here, some of those that we have already seen with the long cane weapon. They're quite annoying. I'll probably not live a very long time around here, given how little health I have. But if you get a backstab with the fire proc, you're pretty much one-hitting them. At the end of these rooms, there is a "Wanted by the Order" Alidoro poster. It says, "Apprehend immediately upon discovery. Fugitive fled after inflicting serious damage upon the Order. Multiple charges have been filed, including theft of confidential information, destruction of property, abduction and luring of Order members, defamation against the Order. Wanted dead or alive. No liability shall be assigned regarding his condition." This finally confirms what we knew all along, that the tracker truly is Alidoro, the famous Alidoro of Legend, the OG, not the bad guy that we meet in the base game. And yeah, it was a very sweet moment, in my opinion, to get to see who he was in person. Going up the ladder, we see 2 levels, more enemies, 2 paths as well. So a lot to explore right here. Unfortunately, given my condition, with how little health I have, I'm not gonna make it past this point with this 2. So I'll have to come back here and redo it all again. Of course, I'm going to fast forward you through that, but first let's watch me yeah, let's watch me die. Alright, I'm gonna fast forward you to this point. Through all the things I did, I pretty much just ran through, especially through the cannon area, now that I knew that it was you know, all done. And the mini boss at the bottom of the boat is gone, and we just have to do, you know, the final bit up the ladder. Alright, coming back to picking my souls right away. Don't wanna lose 20k. And now that it's just me and them and sort of a manageable fashion, I'm kind of getting a 2-for-1 on this one. Well, I got a little greedy, but I had them. Seems like, oh yeah, that was very neat. Alright, we got a special purification ammo and some vivid ergo out of that. Right here is the soldier boy cannon guy that was shooting at us outside a moment ago. I believe that you can attack the cannon and it permanently stops shooting at you. I didn't do it because I didn't remember at the time, but it was like that in base game, wasn't it? I went back to see what items were downstairs and sort of to explore a little of the boat, because I knew that the path was splitting in 2. But despite my confusion, I did end up checking everything in the area. Right ahead we have several of those snakehead of the Order alchemist. Almost kill one right away, but somehow he gets away. He's doing so much damage, and while recovering his health as well, by the way. Almost kills me. Now that I have gotten my revenge, I'm gonna get a little bit of space in between. Not a bad idea. And I'm gonna try to get this guy back, even though my string is not really working all the way. You get a little backstab and that's all you need. And yeah, he's done with that. Now we only have one left. More of the same. He's one of those tall ones with a little knife. Maybe he's a little bit annoying. Be careful here, as you could fall. Just like I did. I don't even know where he fell. So, let's see what the box had, since he's not over here, right? We get the Silent Evangelist mace head and the Silent Evangelist mace handle. And the weapon says, the head of a massive weapon shaped after the serpent of the Ouroboros. Its weight signifies the value of silence. The silent evangelists have only one doctrine, silence. Their preaching is death, execution, and annihilation of the enemies of the order. The handle is encased with decorations of death yearning for liberation. Death always flows beneath the feet of the silent evangelists, the blades of Simon. Oh, so this specifies that they are Simon's personal faction, right? They are the division. So maybe the fact that they're all here in this boat means that Simon has ordered the shipwreck, or has something to do with the shipwreck, has come to check on the shipwreck at least. I wonder if this is a specific time when the order basically splits away from Valentimus and we're just watching the aftermath. Finally, that tall guy is dead, and I get to explore a little of the downstairs area in that hole. We get a hidden moonstone. That's a level up item for our newly discovered weapon. And there's a way forward in here. So now we know where we're going eventually. The hull of the boat as well. Kind of empty. So let's check what's this item over here before we go back. It's a list of sent items. The writing looks hurriedly scrawled. The document holder is empty. The documents contained herein must be sent with high priority. This folio must be transported aboard the Arkan fleet. Assessment of Simon by the Order. The Path of God. Research Compendium Books 1 to 3. Research paper. Physical alterations arising from Ergo. Comparative experiments, Awakened Puppets, and the Ego of Ergo. Report on experiment number 7 regarding the cause of the carcass mutations. Case collection, carcass mutations resulting from side effects of the cure, financial report of the order, Ergo transaction statement, copies of letters and notes containing Simon's close associates, and a final list of Simon's followers. So this clarifies for me a little bit of what we were talking earlier on why would Simon be here. I do think this is the moment where the order splits, because assessment of Simon by the order, list of followers of Simon, and things like that make it seem very much like Valentimus was gathering information about Manus upon suspicion of him, that he was like creating a faction to overtake the order. And it makes sense that Manus wouldn't want that information to get back to him and would stage this accident, or would try to get, this information to be lost. There is some other stuff here as well that is interesting. When they say alterations arising from Ergo and Awakened Puppets in the Ego of Ergo, it makes it seem like they contain cargo that could have Awakened Ergo. Now, who has Awakened Ergo at this point in time? Carlo's mother is dead. Carlo is dead. I don't think their bodies are the ones kept right here in this boat. Although there has been a mention of a boat at some point, I don't think it was this. I think that was before, right? Unless we're traveling further back into time, it doesn't feel like we are. So I think that would be a stretch. But there's also Arlecchino. So they could have had Arlecchino and be bringing it back to the city, like they said, to unleash it in the city in this boat. That's my thought from reading that. They also have some mentions of something we already know, that, the carcass mutation is resulting from the cure, or that the cure is not perfected. And yeah, we've seen that around. We saw how Lumakio transformed into a carcass right at the end of last episode. An interesting thing about Lumakio, not to change the subject too much, but an interesting thing about him that I saw the other day is that when you kill him, he, in his, like around his body and whatnot, lots of snails appear. I wish I had noticed that when I was there. Snails are like my favorite animal. And he has this whole slimy snail theme. I'm going back to the top of the boat, by the way, and just checking around anything that I could have missed or that could be on the other side. Just taking a little looky look. Over here in this bottom room that I saw while going up the ladder, there's an item at the end, and it's just a Fable Catalyst, and you can see another mast and another hull of a boat with this little soldier here. And we're gonna take a look to see if there is anything else over here, since it feels very clearly like the continuation is going to be through that ladder that's going downstairs over there. Picking a couple of items out of the top of the boat, items that we will never use. Also, this seems like a little shortcut back, kind of, if you want to return. Maybe? I'm not sure. But going down the steps is sort of like a dead end. Lots of murder around here. Makes you kind of wonder what this could be about. Going further down, you get to like a prison, a cell area, the holding of the boat. Everyone is dead around here. There's no enemies. Lots of regular alchemists, not the Ouroboros one, just a regular alchemist. And we find a mad puppet's message.
In such a state, I find myself. What magnificent gifts you've given me. Fear not. I shall put these tools to good use. I truly thought it was the end. My body shattered and destroyed. It's not hyperbole to say, well, I was a wreck. Then, along came you. Brilliant, misguided maniacs to give me another chance at life. For that, I thank you from the bottom of my, let's call it, heart. But time flies, and there's much to do. I must now bid you all adieu. I have more debts to collect. The one who left me in such a wretched state. Oh, they call her the Legendary Stalker now. such a splendid little title. And she owes it all to me. It's only fitting to congratulate her in person. See the truth behind the legend. But I sure won't be doing that here with you idiots. It's time I paid a visit to the zoo and remind her of her debt. Oh, Latino you are. A clever
Now we know for certain that the awakened ergo that was mentioned before was Arlecchino. We also get the alchemist orders from this. The puppet locked in the brig is dangerous. To even think of releasing something as mad as that into the city, it cannot be allowed. When we have traveled sufficient distance from the city of Krat, retrieve what ergo is left inside that puppet, and permanently dispose of whatever remains. So they were against releasing him in the city, right? But, once they messed with him, it was too late. He's more powerful than all of them. Interesting.
Do I even want to know what was in that cell? Or what kind of monster it was? Probably not. But here's hoping a deranged beast hasn't been set loose upon the world.
Gemini comments on it, of course. I think the most interesting part to me is the fact that Arlecchino is talking about going back and finding Leia in the zoo. I wonder what made him think that the legendary stalker would be in the zoo. Maybe Leia had announced that, she was gonna hole up in there, or that she was looking for revenge with Marchiona, maybe? Those are my thoughts. This is a beautiful view, by the way, and I love that you can go to the tip of the mast in here. We're gonna go back and we're gonna go down through the ladder that we just saw earlier. Now we know that Arlecchino is around and free for sure, and that he's the one behind everything. Down the ladder, to the right, we have one more box full of blood, but it has a Broadway 30-year, a bottle from a procured cask of premium whiskey aged for over 30 years. Someone who recognizes its value will want to buy it, regardless of how expensive it is. The Broadway 30 Years is a historic masterpiece crafted on a remote island to the north. With its deep and rich flavor emerging from the coveted oak barrel, it is truly worth it of being called a legend among whiskeys. So this is one of those items, kind of like an ergo stone, that you can just sell to the merchants for a quick buck, and you get some story out of it as well. Right ahead we get to a stargazer, and we're gonna level up a little, and we're gonna go back to that merchant as well and sell our Broadway to him, which will give us some extra ergo. I think it's almost 25k on ergo, so for sure a level for most people who will be in the DLC. It's good to have that option, something like that, to quickly level up. He is the merchant of this area, Arkan Fleet Shipwreck. He was in the second Stargazer. And we will be talking to him more this episode when we're completing some of the other side quests and ciphers. For now, we talk to him and we get a little bit of a chat.
Is that? Yes, it is. A Broad Bay lore cask. Aged 30 years. You have exquisite taste for a... Well, word around town is that the Legendary Stalker prefers Lab Lewy wine. But when it comes to harder stuff, nothing beats whiskey, eh? And since you know its value, don't even think about walking away without letting me make an offer.
And then we're able to sell it for 24,800. And now with that, I can do yet another level. I'm only upgrading my vitality and my technique until the end of the game. I have put everything else at a place where I'm comfortable with, so I don't need to keep going with those. Going back to our frozen coast, the stargazer that we had just found, this is getting closer to being the end of the shipwreck, and you'll start to notice that there is a little more of a village, town, port, solid land ahead. So yeah, I haven't been a fan of the shipwreck, so I'm excited to be out of it. Obviously, first we have to deal with these annoying little freezing enemies. But right ahead after them, we gotta be very careful with this frozen flower. Again, flower is the loosest the term has ever been used. I don't think this is a flower. It's more like a spider maybe. But it doesn't have enough legs to be a spider. You know what? Frozen flower. And you gotta be careful with that because it can just punch you straight out of the ice. It shoots so many times, even if you block perfectly, it pushes you back a little bit and you end up falling very easily into the water. And that's insta death because P doesn't swim for some reason. So like I said, here we have the docks and we can see that we're almost in land. And now it's once again my time to fight these humanoid enemies that give me so much trouble for some reason. The easiest enemies are always causing me the most trouble. I survived that. It would have been really embarrassing if I didn't. And I go up the dock to investigate what's up with this town. Nothing good. Everyone's dead. A little fishing village with all the little fishing and hooks, and you know, it reminds me of the place where we start this DLC from in the present. It has sort of that same vibe. We have an enemy, a carcass enemy, one of those like deer things, humanoid, very The Last of Us style. It's not too bad, especially if you have fire and a ton of damage, but you still have to mind the swipes. Once you get your visceral attack, it's all good. It drops a bunch of goodies, and there is also a little item back where it was standing, a radiant ergo chunk. Maybe that's what attracted him to that area. And we can continue on. Very small village. To the left here, at the end of this plaza, there is another one of those flowers, and it's covering a path down that leads to an ancient disc. So if you want the ancient disc, We have to kill it again. Mind your corners. Don't put yourself sideways, because Flower is certainly gonna kick you off the bridge if it can. But once you're through, you can pick up your disc and turn around. On the way back, you're gonna see on the left there is a shortcut for the future. Just a little thing to keep in mind. Yeah, right there. Nothing that we can do right now, but we'll get to it towards the end of this episode. The enemies here have that Last of Us kind of style where you think they're dead or they're in the floor and all of a sudden they start getting up, and it's kind of creepy, isn't it? Past that market area, we get to more of like a snowy area, and this divides into two paths. To the right is the continuation, to the left is the lighthouse. In the middle we will find the mayor's journal. Salao set out to sea 2 days ago. In the end, I couldn't stop that damn old fool. As if all the monsters suddenly appearing and throwing everything into chaos weren't bad enough. Why must that stubborn old man make me suffer so much in my twilight years? But it's not just him. It seems everyone here has suddenly lost their minds. More and more villagers are suddenly insisting that they want to die. It feels like I'm the only one who cares about the village anymore. Let's start by checking with the residents next door. And the rest of the words are smudged and illegible. Well, it seems like Salao is the last person alive from his town. The fate of this mayor is obvious. Salao probably thought he was going out to die to fish his big fish, and in turn he became the last man alive. So like I was saying, to that right side we have the continuation. Right ahead we have Salao's hut, which we'll be opening later once we finish his quest. And then to the right we have the lighthouse, which is the main thing that we will be exploring today. All the quests that are around here, and a lot of little conversations and ciphers and things that we have to do. We find the Crab Mystery, the Haunted Lighthouse book right outside the lighthouse to the left. The legend of how the Crab Lighthouse came to be called the Haunted Lighthouse is quite famous. However, even the most avid storytellers do not know the name of the ghost. In life, the ghost's name was Columbo, who was Krat's lighthouse keeper, but all knew him only as the portly keeper, for he was said to have been a greedy glutton. Columbo used this position to extort money from boat captains, giving light only to those who paid. They say he amassed a huge fortune that he hid in a secret location only he could access. The treasure has never been found, leading to rumors the keeper became so poorly by eating all the treasure himself. The townspeople cursed Columbo with their every breath. Some believe their curses worked because one day Columbo vanished. Like his treasure, he has never been found. The lighthouse could not be left unattended, so the townspeople appointed a new keeper, but that keeper suddenly resigned, driven from the post by the cries of the ghost that haunts the lighthouse. This repeated with the next keeper and the next and many more, all fearing the wrath of the ghost. It was only after the keeper changed 7 times that Columbo's ghost finally fell quiet. Even now it is said the screams of the portly keeper can be heard echoing through the lighthouse when storms lash the shores. Perhaps the sound of howling are Columbo's raging at the townspeople who cursed them. A little bit of background lore on what we're looking for here. Some of the things we're looking for here in the lighthouse, and adding more to the myth of Krat. I found it very funny that it said that he picked which boat captain he was gonna put the light on and that he was extorting people. I thought that was hilarious. He had to have been I mean, he had to have had the strongest binoculars in Krat to be able to distinguish, one specific boat from the other. Like one captain from the other, down to the captain. That was funny to me. If we continue on from where we picked the book, we see that there is like a little downstairs area that we'll be exploring later towards the end of the episode. But for now, let's touch down on the Stargazer. Once I touched down on the Stargazer, I kind of wanted to see that I was choosing the right way to go, that I wasn't leaving anything behind. So I went over towards the snowy part where the path branched out.
Okay, now, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the Legendary Stalker is nearby.
And then Gemini says that, and I was like, oh, it's definitely not here where I want to go. Notice all the petals in the ground, by the way. Leah's usual tail sign. I wonder if she killed the people in the village, or if she got passed through because she has the petrification disease herself and they kind of just let her be, maybe? I'm not sure. Going back to the lighthouse, we have a way up and a way down, and the Stargazer is telling us that Rosaura is here somewhere, but also that our cipher is here somewhere. So I'm gonna start by checking the downstairs of the lighthouse, and you get to an area that says that the floor panel is sensitive to weight, and then our cipher pops up again just as a reminder that we're, keeping it on. So it gives you an idea of what you have to do. It's sensitive to weight, it needs to be heavy. What can we do to become heavy? Well, there is that ring that we saw from the merchant earlier, that upon equipping it, you become super heavy, right? So we could go back and teleport to him and buy that ring. At the beginning, I was a little bit confused. I thought, maybe I'd do a little heavy attack. But no, if we go back and we sit at the Stargazer, it even tells us that the teleporting is related to the quest. So not really a way to get lost here, even though it's one of the trickier ciphers.
So, what is it you need?
Once we go in and we go back and we teleport again, now we have to equip the ring. and we can check what it says. It says, an amulet developed by the Workshop Union to test heavyweight puppets. This ill-fated amulet was so heavy that it could flatten the ground, but with no puppets capable of withstanding its weight. While remaining intact, its production was ultimately halted. This ring is kind of a flex. The fact that P can wear it, right? After you use it for a moment and the door opens, you can take it off right away and equip your regular ring. Don't forget about it. Don't want to be going heavy around. What we find inside is the Lighthouse Keeper's Journal, and it says, they brought bars of gold and made a request. Their ship's movements are not to be recorded in the official logs. It's a truly profitable deal. The local fishermen are nothing compared to them. They arrive at the lighthouse again, loaded with a generous payment of gold bars. What are they transporting that's worth so much to keep secret? I snatched the box when they weren't looking. All I found inside were bottles of medicine. The idiots didn't even notice the box I nicked. I saw all the bottles on the black market. I told them it was medicine, so I got a great price. Later, Maxim said that none of his customers ever return after buying the medicine, but I don't see how that's my concern. My treasure trove is growing. All these fools are making me rich. This is a joke, right? I only nick a few boxes. They have plenty. Why would they do this to me? I'm trapped. Why won't anyone help me? I'll starve. I can't eat treasure. Someone get me out of here. A little bit of a Midas moment at the end when he's saying, I can't eat treasure. I can't eat treasure. It's like surrounded by gold but starving. I think this sort of hints at how the carcass disease also began to spread because he was selling those cures that obviously were faulty, and maybe that's what Lumaki was alluding to earlier as well. He said like, oh, don't buy it from the black market or whatever because they're faulty. Turns out they were all faulty, and that's why he didn't know. They all came from the same source and had the same defect. So now we know how he ended. I don't think he was that innocent of a man, but now that we have discovered that secret, we could go back and talk to the tracker about it. That's our last secret, so it will give us a trophy once we turn it in. For now, let's check the top of the lighthouse. Soon to have another trophy as well. We're advancing a lot of things here today. We have a special purification ampule, and a young fisherman's letter and an old bottle of beer. This has to do with Salao's quest. Let's read what it says. It's been a few days since you rode out to kick the bucket, old man. You'll have to drink that beer you love so much in heaven. If you make it back, I promise I'll go to sea with you, even if it means we might die, even if monsters leap from the waves all around us. Fishers gotta fish. If we're going to shake in our boots, we oughta do that on the water, right? Whatever, you old coot. Just come back safely and soon, or I'll swear I'll drink your last remaining beer. Given the state of everyone in town, I think this guy is dead too, right? He saved the beer, and we might have to tell Salao a little lie. Oh yeah, he's dead right next to... he's dead right next to the bottle, right there. And the bottle says, an old, dirty, and unlabeled beer bottle. It is well past its expiration day. A beer bottle kept for a long time by a poor elderly fisherman. The fisherman hoped to drink his last bottle of beer while boasting after a big catch. Makes me wonder why he would keep this specific bottle of beer. But we'll get to hear more about it once we go back and talk to him. We'll probably have to tell him a couple of little lies to be more human. Going up and up and up and up and up the lighthouse. When you go up the ladder and you get to the top, you get a cutscene for looking around, And that cutscene should give you a trophy. Let's see.
Hey, buddy, see that? Over there. We found it. The Rose Estate. Leia should be nearby.
By obtaining the gesture, peer into distance, you have obtained all of the DLC gestures and you obtain the trophy to be human. So, yay. We can go down the side of the lighthouse, a new sort of little area here, and we see Rosara on a platform looking into the distance, sort of towards the Rose Estate.
Oh, it's you, my forever friend. I'm so glad to see you again. I followed the white butterfly here. I found the Rose Estate, but it's full of sadness now. I can't go inside. I'm okay. I have you, my new friend who looks like my old friend. You gave me the world again. I miss my old friend, but it's okay that you're not him. You're on your own journey, and I think that's wonderful. Will you promise me something? When your journey ends, let's meet again in a pretty place. Rosara will wait for you there.
After talking to her, she gives us Rosara's treasure, the photo of the Tree of Friendship. It looks to be a tree in the front garden of Krat City Hall. The Tree of Friendship. This tree was planted to celebrate the expansion of Krat City Hall. May many find respite beneath its boughs and build joyful memories. This tree, we know from the base game, has an inscription on it about friendships. So now we know that that tree could be related to Rosara's quest, and I'm sure at the end of the game, when we go back to the future, we'll see something about it, right? Also, from talking to Rosara, we get her painting, another piece of her painting. We almost have a complete picture. This part is a little giraffe with a mom-looking figure. I think that Rosara is once again having themes of Snow White and Rose Red, or Rose Red and Snow White, because she mentions again following the white butterfly. Now, the creators of the game seem to have wanted to introduce several mentions to that fairy tale within this, because we know that Adelina Corday and the White Mask Lady as well, the sisters, had some relation to that story as well. And she also mentions following the white butterfly, which in itself is interesting, because I don't think the white butterfly is Sophia. I have mentioned this before. The white butterfly is also what brings us to the DLC, so who could it be? Because Sophia is very, very solidly the blue butterfly. Maybe our mother? Maybe the spirit of our mother? Maybe our own spirit? Yeah, a lot of possibilities.
Rosara's creator was very much loved by my dear old friend. I'm sure my creator would have wanted to be your friend too, because a friend is someone you will always happily wait for. When your journey ends, let's meet again in a pretty place. Rosara will wait for you there. Rosara's creator was very much... I'm sure when your journey...
Downstairs from where she is, we find the final bunny door, and inside, if you go in and check, lots of things coming to an end in this episode. If you go and check in the box, you obtain second cutest outfit in my opinion, the Battle Mania's mask and the Blazing Death hunting apparel. Yeah, the ones with the bunny ears were cuter. Let's see what it says. The mask says, the mask worn by the battle maniac of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, the thrill of the hunt and trophies for his siblings were enough for him. 2 things to keep in mind in combat. 1, protect the family. 2, never forget number 1. That is all you must do. It's a note from the eldest. And now the suit says, the hunting attire worn by the battle maniac of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. It has been modified hundreds of times to improve swiftness and flexibility of movement. Seriously? Is fighting all you ever have on your mind? Don't use my stuff as weapons. The eccentric. And the missing key log says, a logbook of the eccentric missing keys. What are we going to do? What are we going to do with this idiot? And he has like a bunch of little marks, like 23 marks of him losing his keys and a little drawing of him on the corner. I feel like it's quite silly. Alright, from where we came from, we jumped down and we're back at the beginning of the lighthouse. Now near the bonfire we can go and teleport to Hotel Krat to get yet another trophy by talking to the tracker about our final cipher. During this conversation, you'll get a choice to tell the truth or lie, and as usual, telling a lie will make you more human, which is what I chose to do. I also thought it was quite inspirational, so it wasn't a bad thing to do. Let's hear him out.
Any enemy of the alchemists is a friend of mine. Come to me anytime. The door only opened for someone of great weight. Ingenious. Who would have thought? Well done. You have the keen mind of a detective. To condemn the lighthouse keeper to such a cruel fate, though, I'll never be able to stomach their evil wrongdoings. As long as the alchemists rule Krat, tragedies such as this shall never end. Thank you for revealing another truth. Without you, the alchemist's secrets would have stayed locked away forever. More problems remain, of course. For all intents and purposes, Krat remains under the thumb of the alchemists. I know that what I'm doing is something that must be done, but I often feel like I'm fighting alone in meaningless battles. The enemy is great, and I am but one man. Will my efforts ultimately be in vain? Will the terrible truths I know ever be revealed to the people of Krat? Will the terrible truths I know? You fascinate me. You talk of future events as if they've already happened. Your words bring great comfort. Thank you. They also remind me yet again of the person I must protect. My only family, someone whose life I pray shines with truth. I may be destined to toil through life, mired in deceit and lies. But my wish is for her to live happily. That's the sole reason I remain here and continue to fight.
For that conversation, we got a lot of emotion out of that. We also get a trophy tracker of dark secrets. We got an outfit during the conversation as well. He mentions that he has someone to live for. And I think that's Eugenie, right? Someone he saved. That's the only reason that he's around still. But maybe he could be also Leia, his friend, the person that keeps him going. I don't know. I feel like they both fit the bill and they're both a her. But he was saying that he hopes that she lives to be pure, so it made it seem like she was quite young, and I feel like that fits Eugenie more. Now, regarding the Survivor record, I have something interesting about this. This record has like all the records in the game, I think. A regular version and a golden version, but something special about this record, if you notice the drawing, it's like a boy, and in the golden record, it's not like that. It says, discard your past fear and protect your inner flame. As long as you're here, I won't be afraid because you're here. Rise above despair and fear, moving forward as you feel the beat of your heart. Survivor, a song of one who strives to guard the flame of hope in a land of extremes. This version of the song is sang by the voice actor of Romeo. And the other version of the song, the golden one, is sang by the voice actor of Leia. They are the survivors. Now, the survivors of what? They're meant to be a duet, right? It's very, very cool. But the survivors of what? The survivors of Arlecchino? The survivors of the ending of the game that I'm not going to spoil, but that we'll see very soon? Or the survivors of the grief or of having lost Carlo, their friend. I think is a very interesting collectible. I am just mesmerized by the songs in this game. I think they're so cool. Anyway, let's go give it a listen.
Don't you fear? Close your eyes and listen up. Everyone's paying attention to you. You look so sad. You don't have to be so wise. Feel your beat of your heart. Carry on. Please forget about your past fears and trust yourself now. No turning back. Just keep the flame alive inside of you. And there's no need for tears. Look into yourself. Don't cry no more. If you're here, we're not scared anymore. I know that we will be the last survivors. 'Cause you're here. Never give up, it won't be that easy. Pick yourself up, I know that you will always win. Because you're the chosen one. Don't cry no more. If you're here, we are not scared anymore. Whoa, 'cause you're here.
At the end of that, like every regular record, you feel warmth. And yeah, it was beautiful, especially now knowing that it has that opposite record. When you go to the teleporter, you can also travel to the shipwreck exterior and give Salau his bottle. So continuing yet another another quest, lots of things being progressed today. Going back to Salau, and honestly, the first time around I didn't notice that he was so hurt. I thought he was just tired or exhausted, and that once we brought him the bottle he would be fine. So I was a little bit shocked to reviewing and voicing this over, noticing that he actually is kind of dying and is going to die at the end of this. Let's talk to him.
It's time to celebrate my triumph, and a beer is just what I need. Good. This is the bottle of beer I saved. I bought 3 bottles of this brew after my wife left me. I already drank 2, and now this is the last one. The one I swore I'd only open once I caught the fish. Did you praise my catch to the villagers and the brat? Did the brat crack a grin? I bet he did. It's why I caught the fish, to teach Manolin a life lesson. That we are not made for defeat. That humans can be destroyed but not defeated. Let's raise a toast to victory with the beer I saved for this day.
I chose to lie to him and tell him that everyone was impressed by his catch. He mentions he puts the bottles when his wife left him. We're gonna see a little bit more about that in a moment. And he gives us a key to his hut. He says that humans can be destroyed but not defeated. And I thought that was beautiful. That's a good moral of his story, right? Even as he is dying, he feels like he has achieved his purpose, which was, to defeat the big old fish. So I did not realize the first time around that he was completely dead. I thought he was just tired. I don't know, is that weird? The fisherman key says a key with a cord to wear around the neck to prevent it from being lost even in the high waves. The old fisherman never took his key off, not when fixing the nets or going out to sea. And now he's completely dead. I thought he was just taking a nap. I know that's the cliche, but I really truly did think it. We know where his hut is at. It is near the last stargazer that we have activated, right at the bottom of the lighthouse from the outside. Going back to it and using the key on the door, you enter his house and you see, well, a little bit of a lie. As he lied to us as well. His wife is dead on his bed. He's kept it there for years, I guess, as old as the bottle is. And let's read what it says, I guess. Old Fisherman's Letter. To my beloved Clara. The day you collapsed coughing up blue blood still haunts my nightmares. At first, I wallowed in sorrow and tried to follow you, when I remembered the words you spoke to me, a shabby fisher on the day you became my wife. Do not turn your back on the sea when it beckons. I bought 3 bottles of beer to drink with you. Now only 1 bottle remains. Do you remember that young brat Manolin? I've entrusted the last bottle of beer to him. Now I head to sea. Don't worry, my love. Come what may, I will always return to you. So, a very, very sad background to the story. Maybe that's why he wanted to die. He was so careless about his own life, whatever it costed. He was so brave and foolish as well. Music always playing here. Beautiful, by the way. And the fact that he kept his wife here all this time, saved the bottle to share with her, but she was not there, kept himself going because the tide beckons. I didn't know how to feel about it, especially how he acted by going to get the fish when everyone knew that it was kind of like a death wish. So he continued forward, but not really. I don't know. It made me feel sad. Like, it was like a real character, like, you know, saying your morals but not acting like your morals. Yeah, that would be a good way to put it. Anyway, here's the outfit that I forgot to check that we got from Deciphering Every Cipher. It says, a formal suit said to have been worn by a famous detective from the foggy streets. The cape exudes a quiet dignity and a sharp mind. Lies are like mud puddles, wreathed in gold. If not careful, one might become mired in muck while chasing a fleeting fortune. Then the cap, it says, a hunting cap said to have been worn by a famous detective from the foggy streets. Perhaps an odd choice for a dignified detective, but it struck fear in those he hunted. Hunting deer and seeking truth are not so different. Observe the clues, follow traces, and catch the target. Obviously a reference to Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. And I think that's kind of cool. He does match this vibe of the game, this 1800s dark and moody vibe. As one of the last things today that I want to do in this episode is check this mini boss back here, our Orphan of Cos moment, with a big mother fish and a smaller but very annoying nonetheless fish coming to a watery, dark and icy arena. Yeah, it had the same vibes and it was almost as annoying. It only needed to scream a little bit more. I was wondering if that was the umbilical cord of the fish wiggling in the back. Honestly, this was terrible. This was so terrible I could barely do anything in my first attempt. And it took me a couple of tries. I will put it here when I finally make it. But yeah, this fish was not my cup of tea. So the first thing I did going into my winning attempt was to proc fire on my weapon. That's important because you want to make the fight be as quick as possible and you want to be out of there. Another thing that I try to keep in mind is that if you parry him a couple of times, like a perfect parry, he will flip over and you'll have a chance to get a little greedy. Don't get too greedy, but a little greedy. So landing those parries is important. Proccing with fire is very important. because that way he's still losing health even when he goes away. And obviously capitalizing on that big visceral attack is good too. I was happy that it was going by fast. I was cautiously optimistic. But you know, the fight is a mess. Don't be too disappointed if it takes a couple of tries. It was for me as well. Like, impossible to keep track with lock-in, and just very messy. Nothing that you can really consistently feel like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like this every time. It's very random. You get a radiant ergo chunk as well from the mouth of the whale, and a full moonstone from defeating him, and a path back to the town opens, since, you know, when you drop down here there's no way to go back. So through the ice is our way back, going across, and this is that final little shortcut that I pointed out earlier that we saw while we were transiting the town. On the way in, you can pick another half moonstone. They're kind of giving you anything you might need for any weapons that you gotten in the DLC to be leveled up, because we're getting towards the end, so you want to make sure you have everything tippity top notch as you're going in. You don't have to do much here in the town. You can just run past everybody. I went ahead and killed this guy because he looked at me weird, but yeah. You know the way forward. You can just do it all over again. And that's pretty much it for today. We've gotten all of the things before the Rose Estate, and in the next episode we'll have our final battles. I'm looking forward to recording that for you as well. This was actually funny. This was the second time that I had to record this episode. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm a little tired or a little less good than usual. I don't know if they have been good to you, but I still enjoyed re-recording it for you. I can't mourn what was lost. It was actually muted. That's what happened. I had an issue with my microphone and it was muted the whole time, even though it was marking voice on OBS. Quite frustrating, so I had to do it all over. But it was very nice recording this, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Tomorrow for the final episode. I feel like that's gonna be very fun. It's a great story and I love the ending, and there is so much yapping. It's gonna be a lot of yap for that episode. So I'm excited to discuss. Please feel free to comment. I would love to hear how you're doing. You know, people from stream and stuff who might see this. Hi. I'll see you very soon, okay? Goodbye. Goodbye.